Hello everyone. So in these particular circumstances, we are trying to do that in a way that the technology should be used. What I wanted to do in this short presentation is talk about the dynamic coalition, how actually we came up to this point that we discussed about the dynamic coalition and what are the background and what are the objectives. So this talk should be done by two, which is me. I am Mitja from JSI Slovenia. I am the UNESCO chair on open technologies for open education resources and open learning. And Gašper Hrastelj, who is actually my good colleague from the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport, and actually the representative for the National UNESCO Commission of Slovenia. So briefly, historically, the idea actually came out already in 2016 when we started to talk about what can we do more than just a formal document. So formal document in terms of the UNESCO OER recommendation. So we started to think about, so what will happen after the OER recommendation will be accepted. And this dynamic coalition came out as a potential mechanism that will actually take care about this putting things into practice. And this is also how in that time the slogan of commitment to action came into the place, because what we thought about was, well, if we put and if we agree as a globe about that this is a necessity, about that this should be done, then there should be a mechanism that actually will stimulate and foster the adoption of the things that we will put into the recommendation. So there, early at the beginning, of course, we thought, and we saw already that there are many existing initiatives, projects, things that are going on around the globe in OER. But more or less everything is very scattered, is in different places, and people really don't know how actually this can be approached and what else that mean. And this is why we said, well, you know, one of the basic thing that the dynamic coalition should do would be the coordinating, consolidating various OER activities. And then we even played a little bit with what should be. For example, synchronized promotion, implementation, policy support, joint OER project, best practices exchange, training teachers and policymakers, joint educational programs, and all the stuff we are more or less aware of, but we don't know where they are. And since we are deeply involved in these OER communities, of course, we can only think about how all the other people, all the other stakeholders in the globe are looking at this. So, and then there was this point of adopting the OER recommendation, and of course we put this fifth area of OER recommendation, which is promoting and reinforcing international collaboration. Now, the vision of the dynamic coalition, of course, is to, and this is written in the document you've got from the UNESCO, is how to expand and consolidate commitments to actions to OER and to promote and enforce international cooperation among all relevant stakeholders. So, and it's not just about the multilateral, it's also bilateral. And since there are many bilateral agreements or talks about collaboration already, it's just about to see how those actually fit and whether these are good practices or not. And then, of course, the means of the proposal of how this should be worked is that actually we thought about these multi-stakeholder working groups that will be then devoted and following the program and devoted to put things into practice and to real results. Now, this is the current landscape. So this we had a talk recently about how and who can be involved, or how this actually how the stakeholders are involved. And then on one side we have UNESCO, we have international organizations, and we have member states and the governments. And on the other side we have the OER community. So this is all of us, from experts to companies to OER communities. So people that actually know how to deal with the OER. And now, as it was in the past, we found out that here and there was some relations between OER community and the member states. There are many more between the OER community and UNESCO and OER community and international organizations, but at the end of the day, we thought, so what is missing in this picture that might actually make it a little bit stronger? So, and here the UNESCO national commissions came into the place, and the idea was that since these commissions, they have representatives at their member states, so at the ministries mostly, and on the other side they are very strongly linked to UNESCO, those might be a relevant third party that actually would be bringing a necessary glue into collaboration. So what we did is Slovenian UNESCO Commission was actually asking all the other commissions whether they would be willing to take a little bit more proactive role into OER commitment to action. So what happened is that Gaspar was telling me that there was quite a positive response. So more than 15 different representatives from different countries across the globe, so UNESCO national commissions, were actually expressed interest to serve this role, to be proactively involved into this dynamic coalition. So, and as we thought, is actually that those were the ones who can really, on one side, have an active role, and on the other side, help us to bring all these different stakeholders together in something which would be then a dynamic coalition following the goals. So this is the status today. So as I said, the representatives from the UNESCO national commissions are willing to collaborate, are actually expressed interest, and we have all these means now between all these three layers to actually make it done. So in the document you received from UNESCO, you have these four major pillars of program, a tentative program of what this dynamic coalition should work on. One of those is leveraging regional and interregional collaboration mechanisms, and in particular to ensure the collaborative developments and widespread use of OER, because this is now happening here and there, but not in a coordinated, or at least the way that people or the stakeholders in OER community will know about it. Then capacity building activities. There are many activities actually in this area. So how to educate, how to bring in capacities in the global community to start creating and use OER, and then constitution and repositories, and of course joint research on OER. So there are many projects they're already running. The problem, of course, is that at the end of the project there is, that goes into some repository on some place, and nobody knows anything about it. So something which would be a mechanism to revive all the things that we have done, put everything that we have done already in the past in one place would be something which is very beneficial. Then the second pillar is the creation of maintenance of peer networks and communities of practice, which of course includes whatever we do already today. It's just that even if you look at our communities that we are involved in today, we are still a kind of a siloed community. So there is no real collaboration between those communities, which should be done, since we are doing with the openness, the collaborative, the spirit that actually should be boosting up collaboration between different communities and effective peer networks that will share OER. On the other side, there are some attempts, in particular in local and national levels, that are bringing up these communities of peer networks that would create and share OER, but that really haven't catch up and getting across borders, which actually is the main activity in the OER world. Then supporting, of course, the intercultural communication skills and management of multicultural groups, since this is somehow embedded in this collaboration between member states. The third pillar is establishing and defined outreach and partnership mechanisms for resource mobilization. So, how to establish and identify national, regional, international funding mechanisms. So there are, some of us know of some of those mechanisms. Most of those mechanisms are national, and even that they are national, they are in most cases limited. If they are international, there are few funding bodies that can actually help boosting up the OER. So it's not just about looking at what is there available and what are the potential mechanisms to be used. It's also about influencing the funding programs which are right now in the development. So in particular, for example, in the European Commission, in the European world, we have this funding mechanism at the European scale, in which community is actually participating in creating programs. So those are the mechanisms that are there on disposal. We just need to somehow coordinatively start to influence that OER and open education and openness and all this stuff will actually then become a program, a set of sub-programs in all these financial mechanisms, because this is then open the door for the next period of funding. And then the leveraging international frameworks in support of OER efforts. So, in particular, the cross-border exchange and cooperation on OER. So, we also are trying to make some pilot cases with some of the countries in the globe, so bilateral, so to see and test whether there is and should be a motivation and a willingness to exchange cross-border OER. This is something which is not happening in a larger scale. More or less, you all know everything is now based in around one major language. So this cross-linguality, multilinguality, cross-cultural aspects are important in relation to the third pillar, which has been described before. And incorporated where appropriate specific clauses related to OER international agreements. So I haven't seen yet, maybe you have, I haven't seen yet any international agreement that will actually involve something which will be a collaboration between the two or more countries on OER, except for OER recommendation and UNESCO policies and UNESCO incentives that they are bringing in. Now, of course, there are these principles that we have to think about and we have to follow. It's about the gender equality, transparency. In most these cases, it's like this is not a club. This dynamic coalition should not be a club of just the most appropriate and most relevant entities. It should be open. It should be transparent. It should be inclusive for everyone. So the mechanism that should be behind and follow what would be happening in this dynamic coalition should be transparent. This is, I think, it's something, one of the most crucial things that we have to put into forehand. Now, what I think personally that dynamic coalition would need to do is be proactive, operative, and provide concrete results. In most cases, what happened, according to our experience, in most of the communities we have been involved, most of the initiatives and attempts we have been involved, is that at the beginning everybody are so happy and there is a huge enthusiasm, and then if nothing happened, the next year when we'll be having the same kind of a gathering or meeting, people will be starting to ask what's the added value. So what's happening? Why is this just another dynamic coalition? Is just another community? Is this just another attempt to more or less do nothing concretely? So I think that one of the most important thing is to have a community that will actually be really proactive and create and provide concrete results. It is about consolidating activities to maximize the impact on OER. So, as I said already at the beginning, is that there are many things going around, and since even if we are, if we proclaim ourselves as the OER community, the one who would know and would understand what OER is all about, it's even us, we don't know what is going on across the globe. So. And then you can ask yourself, so what the ordinary teacher, which would be, one of the main stakeholders that we would get into that, what would they know, or what the governments will know? So consolidating activities to maximize the impact on OER is something which I think is very, very important again as well. And then create concrete activities around 4 pillars of action. So I presented proposal for 4 pillars of actions, but there should be a plan behind it. There should be actions behind it. There should be people involved. There should be happening. It should be reports. It should be, result coming out so that, the stakeholders, the globe will see that this is something that really is making a progress. It's really making steps further on. It's really happening. And then, of course, if we would be able to show that this would be sustainable model that will actually revive itself as well, through these transparent mechanisms and the governments and rules of operation, then that would be a good thing to do. I think, and we thought already at the beginning that showing the good practices, but not just best practices on OER, but also somehow we have champions. We have champions which are either governments or organizations or communities or experts, that we have to use them, and we have to propose, we have to promote them, we have to show that those are the people, those are the governments, those are the entities that are actually doing progress. And, how it happened today is that we go to our own internal conference, we go to the UNESCO, and it's about, preaching to the same people. So showing, this is all, we are not reaching behind our own communities, and this has to be done. And one of the mechanisms, of course, is to show, look, these are the good cases, those are the good practices, those are the good champions that actually are really making benefit out of using OER. And other things as well, of course, which might be there, and we would be happy to see your inputs to that. But what we need to do at the first is actually to set up the roadmap, plan the governments and the rules of operation. So how, and to tell anybody why we are setting up, how this will operate, and how anybody can actually join and be proactive. So I thought about, and I've looked over, so what we already have as a community and as all the stakeholders is, we have plenty of these OER repositories. There are open technologies for OER. We have this OER global pipeline and network. We created plenty of OER maps and indexes. We are running OER projects and initiatives. There are courses and training programs about OER, licenses, everything that is actually going on already. There is OER research projects, scientific publications, OER communities, OER policies, but everything what I'm listing here is actually, is scattered. It's just all around the place, and there is no unique point of entry that, anybody can see what is going on, anybody can understand what is going on, anybody can explore the possibilities, anybody can reach to champions, to people, to expertise. Anybody can do that if we would have something which would be a consolidated entry point. So I wanted to show you this, as an example. So what we did, for example, for the recently, this is the kind of an entry point, automatic service that gather all this information about policies, about the experts, about the projects, about the companies, about the results, for the area of artificial intelligence. And that just has been just published last week, and it's in the frame of OECD. But here you can see, for example, what can be done. So, and here the data, the information that is there, we just needed to collect. We just needed to understand where the data source is, so that we can put data sources to do all this analytics that you can see on the screen. So, for example, what is the status right now about the AI research in country networks? So, how actually a particular country is related to another country, and then how to see how this cross-border collaboration looks like. Or, for example, the time series, so how the publications are going through. Or what is the AI research by the institutions, so which institutions are the most active in AI. Or here we can have, let's say, the institutions which are more, at countries which are more active in OER. And then about the topics, so the topic view. For example, what is the growth rate of AI in globe? And all this stuff can be done, for example, even exploring the live picture of right now AI news. And there can be, OER news or open education news or OER policy news. So those are the things that are actually using quite a bit of AI behind, but certainly bring value to anybody. And since this is the open service, anybody can actually check what is there, what is going on in real life. So it's not about having something that will acquire quite a lot of manual work. It's just something that actually lives there and gather data from different sources. So this is one of the things certainly which is missing, and certainly we can do and make a difference. So maybe I will just show you how the case for Slovenia would look like on OER. So we tackled the Slovenian case holistically. So as I said, on one side we have all these offerings, all these initiatives, projects and everything. On the other side, we have to put that in something which would be a consolidated approach, and not just Slovenian, not just national, but international. So in Slovenia, what we did, of course, we started to develop the platform that will do that automatically. So automatically collecting information, collecting OER, putting OER into repositories, structuring OER, translating OER. And then on the other side, a policy. So you have the platform, the policy, and then here the magic happens, because those are the things that are projects, concrete projects and concrete stuff that need to be done. Now, this is quite complicated already for a national level, and surely it is more complicated for the international collaboration. But I mean, if we will not do it or try it, then nobody will. And this is why we need to set up this dynamic coalition, because in the dynamic coalition, we will have representatives from this layer, we will have representatives for this layer, and we will have representatives for all these pillars. And in Slovenia, how it looks like, we created the global mentoring, OER mentoring program, and on the other side, also the educational master degree. So those are the things which can, we can show, and we tested into practice. We saw that this actually can run. Now, whether this will run in the international environment is a different question. But certainly, since we are all, gathering together now around this OER and the coalition, and we know each other, and there is quite a lot of trust that we actually also establish between each other, I think that some of the things can be done in the frame of the dynamic coalition. But again, so my personal view is that if this dynamic coalition will be just another coalition, or just yet another attempt, or just yet another gathering of people that we gather together already in other places, then this will not be the right thing to do. So the right thing to do would be to actually really start create results, really start create tangible things, and show the stakeholder that this is something which brings value to them. So here I am actually finishing now this presentation. What I wanted to stress again is that we think that the document, the OER recommendation, is not enough. It's just a prerequisite to actually start creating things. And the OER recommendation is not just it's just really a traditional recommendation. It's a little bit more than recommendation. It actually has a points of activities inside to how to actually grab, how to actually start working on OER from different levels, from different stakeholders in any international or national state. So thanks for listening to me. I hope this will actually bring some questions as well and stimulate you to follow the next meetings through all the week. Thank you very much.